I, 49 years old and female, and my ex-husband, 50 years old and male, let's call him Kevin, got divorced, and the straw that broke the camel's back was when I came home with a present for him for our anniversary, and he accused me of getting it from whoever I was sleeping with and threw it away. He didn't even open the present, which was a Rolex watch he had looked at multiple times and expressed he liked. I talked to a divorce attorney after this, and we filed within a month, and he moved out. I told my attorney about this, and he wanted to know where he moved out as Kevin wouldn't list his new address. It was revealed he moved in with his new girlfriend, 50 years old and female, let's call her Jenny. I actually knew Jenny as our oldest kids have been in the same class since pre-K. I also knew Jenny and her husband, 52 years old and male, let's call him Terry, just got divorced right before us too. It takes a little over a year to finalize the divorce, since Kevin couldn't agree to any terms. A few weeks after the divorce, Kevin and Jenny went public with their relationship on a luxury beach trip. Terry sends me a friend request that I quickly accepted, I'll admit. At this moment, I was being shallow because he's undeniably attractive. He's 6'3", tan from working outside on his farm, and fit, and he messaged me right after, just asking if I had seen the post and blah, blah, blah. The conversation quickly turns into making plans to get dinner and drinks one night. It was Kevin's first weekend with the kids, so Terry and I went out. It sounds sappy, but in that moment, I knew this could be something. It felt natural talking to him and like I didn't have to walk on eggshells or tiptoe around things. He was the first person to actually look at me while I'm talking, and we agreed on almost everything. I invited him over after we left, and we had a few more drinks and watched a sappy love movie and had so much fun making fun of how unrealistic it was. We somehow finished a bottle and a half of wine, so I invited him to stay the night. He offered to sleep on the couch, but I told him he could sleep in the bed since I still wasn't sleeping well because I wasn't used to sleeping alone. The next morning, I made us breakfast and we agreed that we should do this another time and that it was great. As we were eating, Kevin texted me that he was down the road to drop the kids off. Terry rushed to get dressed and left. It felt terrible making him leave like that, and of course, the first thing Kevin asked was about if he saw Terry's truck coming down our road. I told him nope, and he dropped the kids off and left. That was 4 years ago, and shortly after that, Terry admitted to me that he wanted a relationship, and I said yes. We kept it private all this time because it's really no one's business to know, as long as we were happy together. We just celebrated our 4th anniversary, and beginning in November, Terry started to hint that he wanted to propose and wanted me to move to his farm in another town since he lived an hour and a half away. Our anniversary was December 1st, and he planned a surprise dinner with all our friends to propose to me. I couldn't believe that he really did all this for me. All our friends were incredibly supportive and agreed that we seemed happy together and deserved to be happy with each other. The next day, I made a post that we were engaged. This was the first post about Terry and I on each other's page. Right after the post, we started to get calls, texts, FB messages from Jenny's family, Kevin's family, and Jenny sent a long message to Terry saying she couldn't believe we would do this and didn't check with them first, and how insensitive it was to get engaged when we knew her and Kevin were on a break because of the fighting. He ignored all her messages until we both got messages from my family saying we were shitty people for getting engaged in spite of Jenny and Kevin, and how they no longer wanted to see my kids and wouldn't be attending the wedding. Terry started to help me sell my house since he also works for a real estate company, and we packed all my stuff up and sold all the furniture and moved me into Terry's house. I left my job and was actually able to get a job at his company as a secretary. He has 2 sons who treat me very well. They don't call me their mom. I don't expect them to either, but they do tell people I'm their stepmom, and they surprised me with a basketball mom shirt with their names and numbers for Christmas. I couldn't stop crying after seeing it because it was so meaningful to me to see how they considered me their stepmom. Kevin had the kids for Christmas, and we were supposed to begin the normal split custody in January. Since the first of the year, the kids have said they don't want to see me, and Kevin said he's talking with an attorney to change our custody schedule and that he wants full custody. I am finally happy with someone that loves me, planning a very small wedding with only friends and family that was supportive of our relationship, and have 2 new stepsons that love me, but I feel so empty without my kids. I took them to meet Terry, and he had been to dinner with us a couple times, and he treated them like his own, and he never got on to them or was mean to them. I feel so conflicted about what to do. My kids won't even talk to me over the phone and refuse to see me. So, am I the jerk for getting engaged to Terry? Edit. My kids have always known Terry and were introduced to him after a year and a half of us dating. They had no problem with us being together and knew about the engagement, as Terry took them to pick out the ring. It's not like he's a total stranger to them, as they've been around him multiple times and been to his house. I hope this can clear up some confusion, and I plan to elaborate more when I have an update. Mini update. I was able to talk to my usual therapist about a session next week to help the kids talk and maybe help them understand the truth. It's next Friday when I would usually pick them up, so hopefully it goes well. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I would look into parental alienation when talking with your lawyer over your ex's desire for a new parenting agreement and your children's refusal to speak to you anymore. I'm not understanding why it was okay for your ex and his new girlfriend to publicly display their relationship on social media. But when you make one post after 4 years of quietly dating, chaos ensues. Unless there is something you're not mentioning, not the idiot. Comment 2. Your children refuse to speak to you on the phone? Get a lawyer and schedule a court date as soon as possible. There's absolutely no way you can know for sure if that's true. Not the idiot. Proceed with the relationship and let your lawyers and the courts handle the situation regarding your children, ensuring you have an opportunity to communicate with them. Even if you cut off contact with Terry immediately, it wouldn't help in getting your children back. Now for the update. A lot has happened since my last post, and I've got quite the update for you all. First off, let me take you back a bit. When Kevin and I first split, it was messy. He was convinced I was cheating, which was never the case. The Rolex I bought him for our anniversary was tossed in the trash without a second glance. That hurt, but it was the push I needed to end things. Fast forward, and I'm with Terry, who's been a breath of fresh air in my life. Now to the juicy stuff. After Terry and I announced our engagement, the backlash was immediate. Jenny and Kevin's families, and even my own, accused us of being insensitive. It was a shock, considering we'd kept our relationship under wraps for 4 years. Terry's proposal was a dream come true, but the aftermath was a nightmare. Terry and I had to navigate through a minefield of angry messages and calls. Jenny's message to Terry was the most surprising. She claimed we should have consulted them before getting engaged. It was as if they thought they had a say in our happiness. The situation with my kids got worse. They refused to see me, and Kevin was threatening to take full custody. It was heartbreaking. I couldn't understand why they were acting this way. Terry had been nothing but kind to them, even involving them in choosing the engagement ring. But then, a breakthrough happened. My therapist suggested a family session, and it was a game changer. We sat down, and the kids finally opened up. They'd been fed lies by Kevin, who told them Terry was the reason for our divorce. It took a lot of talking, but we started to mend fences. Terry was my rock through all of this. He suggested a compromise that I never saw coming. He offered to delay our wedding until the kids felt more comfortable with the situation. It was a tough pill to swallow, but seeing him put my kids' feelings first made me love him even more. Selling my house and moving in with Terry was another hurdle. I left my job and started anew at his real estate company. His sons welcomed me with open arms, gifting me a basketball mom shirt that brought me to tears. It was a symbol of acceptance I never knew I needed. The custody battle with Kevin was another story. He was relentless, but I wasn't going to give up on my kids. We went back and forth until another unexpected compromise was reached. Kevin's girlfriend, Jenny, reached out to me. She was tired of the fighting and saw how it was affecting the kids. We had a long, hard conversation and agreed to work together for the sake of our children. Jenny convinced Kevin to drop the custody case, and we settled on a schedule that worked for everyone. It was a huge relief. The kids started to come around, and our relationship began to heal. Terry and I decided to have a small wedding with only those who supported us. It was intimate and perfect. The kids were there, smiling and laughing, and it felt like a new beginning. Despite the happiness, there's still a void without my kids full-time. But Terry and I are working on it, and the kids are slowly opening up to the idea of being a blended family. The road to this point has been anything but smooth, but Terry and I are stronger for it. We're building a life together, and I'm hopeful for the future. As for Kevin, he's still with Jenny, and things seem to be stable for now. I wish them well, but I'm focused on my own family. I didn't let a woman in a wheelchair cut to change my baby's diaper, and she called me rude. But then she apologized, and we made the news together. Recently, my family was on a road trip. I have 2 young children, a 10-month-old and a 3-year-old. My youngest, the 10-month-old, is very susceptible to diaper rash. So when it was obvious that he had a dirty diaper, we pulled into a rest stop so that I could change his diaper. When I got to the women's bathroom, there was only one stall that had a changing table, and it was the handicap stall. That stall was occupied, so I stood outside of the stall waiting for it to open up. Just as the stall became available, a woman in a wheelchair came into the bathroom and asked that I wait for her to use the bathroom before I use it since she is in a wheelchair. I had been waiting for about 5 minutes for the stall. My son had a dirty diaper that needed to be changed. He was crying and irritable at that point. I told the woman that unfortunately, the only stall in this bathroom that has a changing table is the handicap stall, and I have been waiting for 5 minutes to change my son. I told her that I would be quick, and I went into the stall to change his diaper. While I was in there, I overheard the woman telling anybody that she could interact with that I was being rude and discriminating against her for her disability by taking the handicap bathroom from her. It took me about 2 minutes to change my child's diaper, and then I left the stall so that she could use it. As I was leaving the stall, the woman said to me, "I hope you feel good about yourself, taking a handicap stall from somebody that actually needs it." I reminded her that the handicap stall is also the only stall that accommodates babies with a changing table, and that I had every right to use the stall. She scoffed at me and went into the stall. I don't know why this interaction is bothering me so much. I don't think I was in the wrong. But here I am asking Reddit, am I the idiot for asking a handicapped woman to wait for me to change my child's diaper? Adding info, I did not expect this to get this much attention. 1. Yes, I know you can change a baby's diaper virtually anywhere. Our car was honestly not a great option as it was packed full. I could have changed him in the front seat, but I also had to use the bathroom, so it made more sense to simply go to the restroom and use the resources there. 2. My husband took our 3-year-old to the restroom in the men's room. This is usually how we do it, as 90% of the time there is no changing station for babies in the men's restroom in the US. 3. She did not express any urgency to me, only that she should have the stall due to her disability. I know it's possible she was too embarrassed to tell me her urgency. This is something I will never know. 4. No, I don't use cloth diapers, but I will look into this if it is something that will really help his rashes. Update. Thank you to everyone in the disabled community that gave input. I appreciate everyone's opinions, but especially yours. Thank you for all of the education as well. I'm not going to let this interaction live rent-free in my head anymore. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. This is a common misconception regarding accessible restroom accommodations. The ADA requires accessible restrooms accommodations, not reserved accommodations. Is it the kinder, more polite choice to let a disabled person go ahead of you? Absolutely. However, the placement of the changing station in the stall really flips the script here. Let it go and stop feeling bad. You did nothing wrong here. Comment 2. As someone who uses a wheelchair and/or mobility device and needs the accommodation, you did nothing wrong. I do not expect to cut the line entirely when I go to the ladies' room. I know I likely have one stall option and that I will have to wait. More often than not, there is a baby changer in that stall. The lady was rude and entitled. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a week since I posted about the restroom incident at the rest stop, and boy, do I have an update for you all. Remember the woman in the wheelchair and the whole changing table fiasco? Well, turns out our paths were destined to cross again. So after the whole ordeal, we continued our road trip, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that maybe I had been a bit insensitive. My husband kept reassuring me that I did what I had to do for our little one. But you know how it is. The guilt was gnawing at me. Fast forward to 3 days later, we were at a quaint little diner, the kind that has the best homemade pies and the most interesting local gossip. As fate would have it, who do we see at the counter? The very same woman from the restroom incident. My heart dropped to my stomach, and I braced myself for another confrontation. But before I could even say a word, she turned around, and to my surprise, she recognized me immediately. She had this look on her face, a mix of embarrassment and something else I couldn't quite place. She wheeled over to our table, and I was ready for a showdown. However, what happened next left me speechless. She apologized. Yep, you read that right. She told me that she had been having a really rough day and that she took it out on me. She explained that she had just received some bad news about a close friend's health and was not in the right state of mind. I was taken aback by her honesty and openness. We ended up talking, and she shared stories about the challenges she faces daily, and I shared the struggles of being a mom to 2 young kids. Now, here's where the new developments come in. As we were chatting, the diner owner, a sweet old lady who had known the woman for years, joined our conversation. She mentioned how the woman, let's call her Jane, had been coming to the diner for years and was known for her fiery spirit and kind heart. Jane had been an advocate for accessibility in the community and had actually helped get several local businesses to install ramps and accessible facilities. The owner then shared a bit of Jane's backstory that made my jaw drop. Jane used to be a marathon runner before an accident left her paralyzed from the waist down. She had to rebuild her life from scratch, learning to navigate a world that wasn't always accommodating. Her resilience was nothing short of inspiring. As we were talking, a local news crew walked in. They were doing a piece on small businesses and community heroes. And guess who they decided to feature? Jane, the advocate for accessibility, and me, the mom who sparked a conversation about the importance of changing facilities in men's restrooms. The interview was a whirlwind. We both got to share our perspectives, and the community response was incredible. People started talking about how restrooms should cater to everyone's needs, including parents with young children and individuals with disabilities. But here's the subtle justice that was served. After the news segment aired, the rest stop where our initial confrontation happened reached out to Jane and me. They wanted to make things right. They decided to renovate their restrooms to include a family restroom with multiple changing tables and proper facilities for people with disabilities. Jane and I were invited to the ribbon-cutting ceremony. It was a small gesture, but it felt like a victory for both of us. We stood there, cutting the ribbon together, and I couldn't help but feel that this was the universe's way of turning an uncomfortable situation into something positive. My brother's girlfriend lied about us post-wedding, causing a family split. But when the truth came out, they begged for forgiveness, too late. I, 27-year-old female, and my husband, 28-year-old male, got married a few months ago. We got married at a beautiful, well-kept nature venue that turned out to be pretty strict about rules and keeping the party respectful and low-key. Rightfully so, to maintain the grounds, to appease them and make sure we made things flow smoothly for them, since they had other events to run through that day. We decided to only have the absolute essential people be at the rehearsal walkthrough that was scheduled 2 days prior to the wedding. That means wedding party, parents, and officiant. No plus ones allowed for anyone. The next night, we had our formal rehearsal dinner and invited all family and some friends, plus ones welcome. And of course, the big party was the next night. It's important to note here that our wedding cost about $40,000, all said and done, rehearsal, dinner, and accommodations included, and my wonderful parents paid for every penny. When we told my husband's brother about the rule, he immediately got very defensive, saying that it's not okay that his girlfriend wasn't invited to the rehearsal. Remember, this was about a 1-hour event and not fun at all, just a run-through and logistics. He said that because he lives about 1 hour away from his girlfriend, our wedding weekend was meant for him and his girlfriend to reconnect after living long distance, and that was his biggest priority. And we were depriving them of that opportunity to spend as much time together as possible. A couple hours later, we received a call from my husband's parents saying that we are going to burn a bridge with the whole family if we don't make this right and invite his brother's girlfriend to the rehearsal walkthrough. They and his brother said it was unfair because my sister's maid of honor fiancé got to come to the walkthrough, but he was also in my husband's wedding party. So fair didn't really apply there. We told them that the venue was strict and we wanted to keep them happy since it was so expensive and we couldn't risk breaking rules. So his brother called the venue to ask them directly if he could bring his girlfriend. Lol. The venue was obviously confused, being like, the bride and groom get to choose who come. Then his whole family called us liars for trying to blame the rule on the venue. We told them over and over we did not intend to be dishonest and just wanted to keep the venue happy. My husband and his brother got in a huge fight, and he disinvited him from being the best man. But they worked it out the next day, and he was in the wedding. All was fine. We ultimately did not change the rule, and she did not attend the rehearsal. She did not speak to us on the wedding day, and we often caught her rolling her eyes in our direction. I complimented her dress, and she ignored me, then audibly scoffed. But his brother gave a beautiful teary speech, and we thought we moved past it all. Fast forward a few months, and his brother and girlfriend have refused to talk to us, less a communal FaceTime call on Christmas, despite us reaching out. The girlfriend has unfollowed us on social media and everything. I feel like our request to keep things simple, a rule that applied to everyone during the rehearsal walkthrough, was reasonable, and we did not expect this reaction and long-term effects. Am I the idiot? Editing to add to, we profusely apologized to everyone for the unnecessary drama and making them feel lied to about the venue, despite that not being our intentions. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. When faced with a teenager having a sulk, my mother would shrug and say, "Leave them to get over themselves. They'll come out of it the same way they went into it. Your sister-in-law is having a sulk. That's a her problem. If your brother-in-law continues to make it also his problem, he can join her on the timeout step. Not the idiot." Comment 2. God, walkthroughs are boring. I'm not sure what her major issue was, but from what I recall about the couple walkthroughs I've been to, most of the guests weren't there, just the people who had specific places to be during the actual wedding. Unless she was part of the wedding party, her request was illogical. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been 2 weeks since I last posted about the drama surrounding my wedding rehearsal and my brother-in-law's girlfriend. Buckle up, because things have taken a turn for the worse, and I'm still reeling from the fallout. After the wedding, my husband and I thought we could all move past the rehearsal issue. We were wrong. My brother-in-law's girlfriend, let's call her Sarah, has been stirring the pot in ways I couldn't have imagined. It turns out, Sarah had been holding on to her resentment like a dog with a bone. She had been spreading rumors about us to the entire family, painting us as the villains in her twisted narrative. 2 weeks ago, during a family dinner that we weren't invited to, Sarah announced that she was pregnant. The family was ecstatic, but the joyous news was overshadowed by her next announcement. She claimed that the stress we caused her during the wedding had led to complications early in her pregnancy. This was news to us, as we had no idea she was even pregnant at the time of the wedding. The family, already on edge from the previous drama, was now furious with us. My husband's parents, who had previously been on our side, were now cold and distant. They believed Sarah's version of events and accused us of being insensitive and selfish. The family dinners we used to enjoy together became a distant memory. We were effectively ostracized. But the real kicker came when my husband's cousin, who had been at the rehearsal dinner, let slip that Sarah had actually been invited to the rehearsal dinner all along. She had chosen not to attend, preferring to spend the evening with friends in town. This revelation was a slap in the face. All this drama, the family rift, was based on a lie. My husband confronted his brother about this new information, but he refused to listen. He was completely under Sarah's spell, believing every word she said. The argument escalated, and in the heat of the moment, my husband's brother blurted out that he had always been jealous of our relationship and the attention our wedding had received. It was a jaw-dropping moment, one that left my husband speechless. The family dynamic has been turned upside down. My husband's once close-knit family is now divided, with Sarah at the center of the storm. The family members who know the truth are too afraid to speak up, fearing Sarah's wrath and the potential to further divide the family. Amidst all this chaos, my husband and I have been trying to keep our heads above water. We've been reaching out to family members individually, trying to mend fences and explain our side of the story. But it's been an uphill battle. Sarah's influence is strong, and her ability to manipulate the narrative is something I've never seen before. The stress of the situation has taken its toll on us. My husband has become withdrawn, the strain of the family conflict eating away at him. I've been doing my best to support him, but it's hard to watch the person you love be torn down by his own family. Just when we thought things couldn't get any worse, Sarah's true colors were revealed in the most unexpected way. At a recent family gathering, which we heard about through the grapevine, Sarah was caught in a compromising position with one of my husband's cousins. The cousin, who had been one of Sarah's most vocal supporters, was just as shocked as everyone else. The family was in an uproar. The cousin, feeling betrayed and humiliated, spilled everything. He revealed that Sarah had been manipulating him, using him to get back at us for the perceived slights at the wedding. The family was stunned. The cousin's confession was the catalyst that started to unravel Sarah's web of lies. One by one, family members began to see Sarah for who she really was. They reached out to us, apologizing for not believing us sooner. It was a bittersweet victory. The damage to the family had been done, and it would take time to heal the wounds. As for my husband's brother, he was devastated by the betrayal. He had been so blinded by love that he couldn't see the truth. He apologized to us, his voice heavy with regret. It was a moment of reconciliation, but the path to rebuilding our relationship would be a long one. The family is now in a state of quiet reflection, trying to piece together how things went so wrong. Sarah has become a pariah, her actions exposing her true nature. It's a harsh lesson in trust and the consequences of deceit. As for my husband and I, we're taking things one day at a time. The family drama has been a harsh reminder of how quickly things can spiral out of control. But through it all, we've held on to each other, our bond stronger for having weathered the storm. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.